New update: my f23 fiancé's m25 graduation party for his master's might be my deal breaker. I am not the op of this post. The oop is you, Throwrast Finances. And I want to give credit to you, Direct Caterpillar 77, for picking up the first update. Oop added another update on September 12th, and I again received permission to share here. As many people asked last time, Jason is a family friend who is 16. Trigger warning: homophobia, online slander, child pornography accusations. Less than May 8, 2023. Original post: we met in college and decided to not get married until we graduated to focus on our studies. And we have been dating for 4 years. He proposed to me during his last semester of his master's program. And he is studying to become a teacher. I graduated with my bachelor's not too long ago, but his graduation party is showing a side of him that I believe to be a deal breaker. His graduation party will be held at his father's, who has a pretty big backyard. And many of the people from our wedding will be going. However, unlike our wedding invitation list, he said he didn't want to invite Jason, fake name, and his parents because he recently came out as gay. And that led to a conversation. Jason and his parents were invited to our wedding. So that made me ask why he didn't want them at the graduation. He said that the wedding was an us thing, and that he was willing to compromise because it was our wedding. But when it came to the graduation, he said it was a him thing because he was the one who graduated. So he didn't have to compromise because he did the school work. When I asked what he meant by compromise, he said he'd tolerate Jason at our wedding because that's what couples do. But the graduation was about him. When I asked if he'd support potential future children that came out, he said he'd tolerate it for me, although he disagreed with it. It is my fault for not asking that question earlier before we became engaged. But he made his stance clear. He said he'd be more distant to a child that turned out to be gay and would probably let me do more of the parenting if so. He's always been a gentleman and amazing to me, but he grew up religious. Parents were Christians. Although he said he's not anymore. I don't think we have a future. After he said he would distance himself from a child who came out and leave it to me. And I just want to ask how to tell him so. I'm thinking another conversation like we had, but I want to ask for the best way to go about it. What would be the best way to tell him that I don't think we have a future together given his stance? Update: Reddit recovered June 11, 2023. A lot of people suggested talking to my fiancé in an open space or my parents' home about my deal breaker. But I wasn't able to do my parents' home, although I got to talk to them and they agreed with my reasonings. They said they were disturbed by how easily he admitted he would distance himself from a potentially gay child and that it was a good thing it came out before the wedding. I also got a lot of people calling me out for not broaching the topic of gay children or how he felt about LGBTQ in the years we dated. And that's on me for never thinking to bring up. Going forward, it will be something I ask early on before getting emotionally invested in a relationship. Because I couldn't speak to him at my parents' place. We ended up talking at a place we went for lunch. And I told him that I couldn't go forward in the relationship because he repeatedly said he wouldn't accept any children who came out. But when I said that, he didn't try to take it back and said that he was willing to compromise for me. He said it was better than pretending to agree with coming out and that he was being honest. But I told him I was done because of his beliefs. And he didn't take it well. He took it fine at the restaurant and finished lunch without saying much else. And he kept saying I was overreacting and that he couldn't believe I wanted to end the relationship over him wanting to compromise. My parents have been helping me with canceling the wedding, but he took his spite online. He made a Facebook rant a few days after that, doubled down on a lot of the things he said. And he said he made it to explain his side of things. He said that I was breaking up with him despite him honest about his willingness to compromise and not hiding it like many couples internalize things. He also said our country was changing things that was always wrong, such as gay rights. And he said that people were trying to shove gay rights down everyone's throats. He also said that you can't say anything these days because of cancel culture and Me Too catering to sensitive people. And he said that the value of education was dropping because people were becoming more stupid. He also said that that was why he wanted to become a teacher, because there weren't enough good ones. And those were just a few of the things in his rant. He also said that Me Too enabled people from the consequences of their behavior, when they should instead look at themselves in the mirror and how they dressed, too. He never said anything about Me Too during the duration of our relationship or anything that outspoken about gay rights until his graduation planning. And it was honestly surprising to read what he wrote. As I said above, I will be asking these questions at the start of dating going forward. Lastly, some people suggested reporting my ex-fiancé to the school in my previous post because they said he could be harmful to gay students. And I especially agree after the post he made. I did receive a lot of hateful DMs from people who agreed with my ex and said that I'd be wrong to contact the school. Some even accused me of considering canceling him in DMs and a few comments on my last post. But I don't see it as that. I see calling the school as something that's important because this mindset is harmful to so many. And he is already a substitute teacher at an elementary school. He began subbing before he graduated. I want to ask what would be the best way to go about it. Whether that would be an email, phone call, or potential visit to do it in person. I have already screenshotted the post he made. And I've only answered questions about the breakup from people who have called so far. My parents are helping me with some people who have called them too. But that is my last. Second update. August 20th, 2023. I didn't really plan to make another post, but I received a lot more DMs after my update was shared in our Best of Redditor Updates that made me wanna come back. And I read through many of the comments there too, which made me wanna address something. To those who called me out for not seeing any signs of his homophobia earlier, you're absolutely right. I just assumed the best and never thought to question it. But I will now ask the tough questions going forward at the beginning of future relationships, such as political stances along with opinions on race and gender. And that should help prevent time from being wasted on people similar to my ex. I just assumed the best because we have another friend who is trans and was always cool with him. And my ex used to like the posts that he made when he came out some years back. He also liked a post that he shared at a Pride walk. So there was that too. Going forward, I won't assume anymore because at the end of the day, a like really doesn't mean anything. I sent an email with an attachment of his now deleted Facebook rant to a few places. The school he subs at was subbing at before he graduated. And the school district along with the county office of education where we live, thanks to advice provided by a commenter who I DM'd for more advice. I also told people I knew about why we were breaking up and showed them the post. And that did most of the talking for me. I broke up with my ex before contacting the school. And I decided on a text because we didn't live together, and also had my dad return the ring to his parents' home where he gave it to his mom and had minimum interaction. I was too scared, cowardly to do it myself. So I took them on their offer to drop it off for me. In the text, I told him that I couldn't marry him due to his homophobia comments and opinion, along with telling him that my parents would drop off the ring so that it was in writing. And I blocked him after sending. He didn't have any belongings at my place. But he's been livid about the way I handled it. And I'll admit that I was afraid to do it face to face because I was a coward. But he took to Facebook again. He made another post talking about how dad returned the ring instead of me, and that I didn't give him credit for being honest about his willingness to compromise, and proceeded to ghost him, pretty much erasing the purpose of his deleted post by referring to the same points. I'll admit that I was cowardly about how I handled it, but what really surprised me was when his dad took to Facebook about it too. And he accused me of canceling him for an opinion he shared, along with saying that communication in marriage is dead. He called me retard in his post, and that people like me was the reason Trump lost, because no one had morals. He also said that Trump needed to win again to stop cancel culture, because his son was punished for his opinion. I want to remind you that my ex was not religious despite his parents being big Christians. But I'm guessing he vented to them about it and is back involved in some way given the post. The last thing I'll say is this, and I kept it to the end because I'm not looking for advice, as I'm only taking it from a lawyer on this matter that my parents have helped me contact. My ex called my job and apparently told them that I had CP and that was why he left. And I don't know where he pulled that out of his ass from. I don't know if he was talked to about the emails I sent to the district involving his post. But my dad seems to think that it might be retaliation, although he's not sure because it's only been a few weeks. He thinks it could be retaliation for my letter to the district or for ghosting him. But we're looking into a lawyer, as I was recently made aware of the accusation at my job when I was talked to. And that is where my focus lies. I'm not going to make any future posts because I've still received a lot of hateful DMs telling me that I was wrong to report him to the school. But I stand with my decision to do so. I really appreciate the advice I received and hope that at the least telling the school will have done some good. Someone also suggested looking into LGBTQ things to support and give energy to. And I'll look into that once I'm past this job situation. Third update. September 9th, 2023. I said that last time was gonna be my last post, but I really mean it with this one. Before I get into why though, I just want to say again that I'm sorry for not seeing his homophobia earlier. Many people have cursed at me in DMs asking how 4 years of dating never showed it. And I thought I apologized in my last post. But I kept getting those messages. So I just want to say again that I'm sorry, and that going forward, I'll ask for political, gender beliefs on the first date to not waste time with potentially hateful people. I'm just tired of being yelled at about it. And there have been some supportive comments too. But the majority of them are either calling me out for not seeing it or for wrongfully canceling him and agreeing with many of the points his father made in his Facebook rant. If the news was on TV as we were doing something, eating, my ex didn't voice his homophobia then, as many asked. And when we talked about kids, it was wrong of me to not ask what he'd think if they came out. Lesson learned for next time. As previously mentioned, we also had a friend who came out, and he's very close to them and accepting. But with that out of the way, I'll get to why this is my last post. Aside from the majority of hateful DMs, my ex's dad hasn't stopped posting about me on Facebook. And it's all pretty much the same cancel culture rants from last time and calling me a leftist, among other things. I have also received a number of social media DMs spouting similar hate to the DMs I received on Reddit. And I directly blame him and his dad for this. I mentioned last time that I was looking into a lawyer. And my parents have helped me with the search, which has been helpful because of how his dad continued. His dad posted my socials and home address to one of his Facebook posts. Thus why I deleted my Instagram. And he said that he was going to cancel me back, too. Another reason I contacted a lawyer was because I received a threatening DM. But that's the most I'm gonna go into specifics. I only received one of those. But it was enough to make me and my parents want to be on the safer side. And that's another reason why I'm done making these posts, because I want this whole thing to be over soon. I really appreciate the supportive DMs I received in the midst of the hateful ones. And I also appreciate the majority of supportive comments from BORU that was sent to me by someone in a DM too. I really hope the whole thing is over soon, because it's been draining. But hopefully the lawyer can at least provide some peace of mind. The ex's dad is gonna have one hell of a Pikachu face when he gets cancelled by a lawyer. I don't get why people called her out for not knowing about her ex's homophobia. From what she writes, it hadn't been blatant, as it was the last few weeks, and it's not like you give someone a questionnaire before dating them. Pure speculation here. I think fiancé knew of her stance of LGBTQ rights, but made it appear he had the same beliefs, i.e. liking her friends' posts once he felt comfortable, or that she wouldn't leave. Then he decided to show his true colors. It just goes to show you never really know someone, no matter how long you're with them. Shouldn't have to apologize that much for not recognizing the homophobia. It seems like she's getting fried alive for not having done an extensive background check. Sometimes you just don't know what to ask until you're forced to ask it. That's not cancel culture, that's the consequences of your actions. Talking about ex. One of the things that pisses me off the most about this, besides the ex and his daddy, is how many times she's apologized for missing his homophobia. 1. Stop making women responsible for the actions of men. 2. Fucking red. You ingrates. I'd bet the jackass was purposefully covering it up until he thought she was in too deep to back out. She should have seen it? What a bunch of pricks. Why did people keep reaming her out for not noticing his homophobia? Some people are really good at keeping their opinions to themselves, especially when it's something like homophobia in a homo-embracing world. At least, more embracing than in previous eras and ages. He's probably sincerely narcissistic, aware enough to realize that expressing such opinions, no matter how subtly, will be counted against him. So he keeps his mouth shut in order to foster a reputation for being accepting of the LGBTQAI+ community. But when he's finally feeling secure in his relationship, he decides to be honest, assuming that would just agree with him because he was so amazing and they'd invested all this time and were spending money for a wedding. The shock to his system when he realized wasn't as deeply under his spell as he assumed is kind of hilarious. Wow. Just wow. Is apologizing again for not seeing his homophobia? Honestly, it seems like he went out of his way to hide it. Like racists who have a black friend, or an abuser who is absolutely sweet until they're sure they have their so in their grasp. Leave the poor woman alone. It's bad enough she's getting doxxed and harassed by his family. The keyboard warriors just need to back off. And I'm glad that she told everyone what ex-fiancé was like. It's 2023. Why do people still care who other people love? She needs to get a restraining order for ex's dad stat. Posting her home address is a barely veiled threat. Had a friend who went on a date years ago. We were hanging out with a third friend a few days later. Third friend asked how it went. He replied that it went well. He was gonna marry her. He did. And they spent hours debating politics. Third friend, who comes from a more conservative cultural background, said you shouldn't talk about that stuff on a date, especially a first one. The two of us pushed back and said no. It's important to get that stuff out of the way so you know you aren't wasting each other's time. This is why. As an side note on the story, The woman he went in a date with was single because her husband of years all of a sudden became openly racist once Trump made it okay. So she definitely wasn't making the same mistake twice. People really shouldn't be so mean to Op about not noticing it sooner. She has gay and trans friends, one of whom is close enough to be invited to her wedding. And the ex always managed to hide his bigotry around them. If they didn't notice, why would she? Here's the thing. A lot of younger men from conservative religious backgrounds distance themselves from the religiousness insofar as they want to do what feels good for them. Sex outside of marriage, rebellious behavior according to scriptures, drinking or drug use, and will claim that they aren't as religious as their family of origin because they want to do what they want to do. But once they see the way patriarchy and bigotry actually still aligns with their core belief systems, they're very swift to try to weasel their way back into, "This is just what I believe," and maybe make it a political, social stance rather than a strictly religious one. They aren't anti-religion. They just want to sleep late on Sundays and have premarital sex and whatever else until such a time as they feel like picking the trappings of old boy patriarchy back up again. Tellingly, right around the time they're set to settle down and get married and become a family man. People like you are why Trump lost the election. Well, good. I don't see the problem here. These posts that are just 3 updates worth of apologies to random judgy strangers are obnoxious to read. People accusing her of not having seen the signs are confusing. She dumped him as soon as he voiced his homophobic opinions. She didn't waffle or debate or go back and forth with it. What exactly would be her reason for willfully ignoring the signs if she was pretty assertive with her actions once she saw them? I'm glad Op figured out how vile her fiancé is before the marriage. And it sucks how much hate she's gotten from these posts when she did nothing wrong. In fact, taking steps to bring this info to the local schools was a brave move considering how vulnerable she would be to retaliation. Also, I hate that I had to Google CP. Spent this whole post wondering why her ex tried to get revenge by telling her job she has cerebral palsy. BF said he's willing to compromise for her sake in the event any children turned out to be gay, but he would distance himself from them, cut emotional ties, and not accept them. So, where's the compromise? When are people going to realize freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences? Well, I was being honest. Quote, "And honestly, I don't want to be with you." I would want him to stop teaching because he sounds kinda dumb if that's his way of thinking.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.